Hello, welcome to IELTS, Focus on IELTS at Home. Before you open your books, can you tell me what is El Niño? If you said it has something to do with weather, you're correct. Where? Where does El Niño happen? Where in the world? Is it related to the land or to the ocean? If you said something about the ocean, which ocean? The Pacific Ocean, that's correct. Maybe you noticed that El Niño is not an English word, but a Spanish word. So the first people to discover El Niño were fishermen in Peru. Now, is Peru in the Western Pacific Ocean or the Eastern Pacific? If we look at a globe here, there's Peru. Actually, it's in the Eastern Pacific, and the fishermen there discovered that they were having difficulty catching fish about 300 years ago, and it was in December. So why do you think they called it El Niño? And what language do they speak, by the way? In Peru, the fishermen were Spanish. So El Niño is Spanish. El is the, and Niño is child. And this condition, this weather condition happened in December. So why do you think they called it the little child? It's actually baby boy in December. Can you think of any baby boys that are that we talk about in December? Yes, baby Jesus. So that was why they called it El Niño about 300 years ago in December. Now, please open your books. Everybody has their books now. If you don't have it, you can press pause, remember. Open your books to page 68. And we're going to look at the question at the bottom of the page here, writing task 1, and answer the questions 1A and B at the top of the page. So just take a moment to read this. And then we'll answer. What is El Niño and what does it do? So the short answer is El Niño is a warm ocean current that affects weather patterns on both sides of the Pacific Ocean. And the diagrams, what do they compare at the bottom of the page? The first one is El Niño during normal conditions, and below that, El Niño during the El Niño conditions. So first is normal conditions, second with El Niño. All right, let's answer some questions in 1B. First about the normal conditions. Which direction do the strong trade winds blow in normal conditions? So if we look at the Eastern Pacific, near Peru, in normal conditions, they're blowing from the east to the west. And then number 2, what do they do to the warm water? It rises. Actually, the warm water is pushed to the west as the cool water rises. So the warm water is pushed towards Australia, and then the cool water rises, bringing the rich nutrients And so the result in the eastern Pacific off of Peru is, if you look at the little picture, there are a couple fat fish. So the fishermen are happy because there are lots of fish. And the weather, it looks sunny. Now let's compare that with the El Nino conditions. And by the way, the weather in Australia, because it's pushing the warm water west, is causing a lot of rain in Australia. So normal rain, actually. Then, during El Nino conditions, the direction of the trade winds is opposite. So they're coming from the west, from Australia or Indonesia even, towards Peru. They push the cool water down. They keep the cool water down so it doesn't rise up. That means there aren't many rich nutrients for the fish. You can see there's only one skinny fish in the bottom corner there. And the conditions in Australia are very dry. What do we call that when the weather is very dry? It's a drought. So that happens in Australia during El Nino. It also happens in Indonesia. If you remember, in some parts of Kalimantan and Sumatra, it gets very dry during El Nino.